So now if you unify with Stanionis, you got Brian Norman telling you right now, we do what we need to do. You do what you need to do. The fight is next.
Brian Norman Sr. thinks he's slick. He really does, but I know what he's up to. I know what he's trying to do. And hopefully Boots and his team knows what he's up to, because what he's trying to do is string this Boots Ennis fights along as long as possible, hoping that by the time his son fights him, that Boots has outgrown the weight class and is going to be drained when he fight him. That's what he's trying to do. That's why he's pushing for this fight so hard. Don't need to call anybody else. No need to do this. No need to do that. That's why he overpriced himself at the time, because he wasn't sure if Boots had outgrown the weight class. But now that he's seen a few fights, he's saying to himself, man, I think this might be the right time to get him, right? Trying to catch him at a bad time and whoop on him and then make it seem like his son's the greatest fighter of all time, right? He's going to pump his son up, which I understand. That's his son. He's going to pump him up. You know what I'm saying? But it's also going to get his son fucked up in the end, I believe, right? As long as Boots is not drained. See? And that's what I'm a little worried about. Now, his last few fights, Abinesian against Chukachan, Boots didn't look like the Boots we know, right? He didn't look like he looked against Roman Villa, right? So now the question is, even he questioned himself, like, have I outgrown 147, right? But he's decided to stay, right? And now he has a unification fight with Stanionis. So this fight is going to tell us a lot. Now, to me, part of the problem was that he was fighting at home. I think it was more of a curse than a gift. I think he was trying too hard. He was pressing too hard, and he didn't look good, right? He didn't fight the way I know he could fight. He wasn't just relaxed, just box, and the knockout would come. He was trying to get the knockout. He was trying to force the knockout, just coming in, throwing punches, and just being reckless. Can't do that, bro. Can't do that. You can't. Come on, man. You're fighting higher level caliber fighters now. You got to be boxing and busting motherfuckers upside their head. And in the end, if the knockout comes, the knockout comes. Like they say, you can't force knockouts in boxing, right? That's how you get yourself fucked up. That's how you don't look good. It just doesn't happen like that most of the time, unless you're fighting lower level. But now you're fighting champions. You're fighting high tier, high caliber fighters. So you can't do that. But if he looks like the Boots that we know, he's going to fuck Stanionis up for sure. Stanionis is tailor made for him, so he's going to whoop his ass, right? Right, and if that's who we see against Brian Norman, he's definitely gonna knock Brian Norman out. Brian Norman has no special effects. And what's crazy is that people are like, oh, I was so impressed by Brian Norman. I'm like, dude, do you know who he was fighting? He was fighting Derek Cuevas. And his dad was pumping him up like Derek Cuevas was some type of killer, and he's not. He's not. He had a loss against a guy who was 23-8. 23-8. You know who his draw was against? A guy who was 6-10. This is who they fought. But he got on here and he talked like Derek Cuevas was knocking out grown men and he has all these knockouts. Man, listen, it's who you fight. Yeah, you can be 27-1 with 20 knockouts, 21 knockouts, but if you fought bums, I'm not impressed. And that's exactly who Cuevas was fighting. And even some of the bums won and had a draw with him. So I'm not impressed by Brian Norman's performance versus Derek Cuevas. Come on, man. Do your research. They have BoxRec. Check it. So they think they slick, but it ain't going to work. In my estimation, it ain't going to work, but it could. It could. I don't believe so, but it could. It all depends on how Boots looks against Stanionis. I do believe he's going to look damn good. I think Boots is not satisfied with his performances and last couple of performances, and he's going to come through this time, and he's going to look magnificent. I know he's really pumped for this fight. This is his first time to actually win a championship. Like he said, that's something that he wanted. That email shit was really bothering him. So he decided that, hey, I'm going to win a title at 147. Now, after this, he might decide to say, hey, I can't make this weight no longer and move up. But that was just on his bucket list, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I'm cool with him deciding to do that if he's not draining themselves to make the weight. So we'll see how it goes. Brian Norman, Sr., don't outprice yourself, bro. Remember, your son has no fan base. Your son has no fan base. Boots is just building his. So we can't be giving out all of this money to fighters who don't have fan bases. You got to remember, this is a business. I understand you trying to get the max out of your son, but at the end of the day, you got to understand that they got to make money too. It's a business. Not going to just throw your son all this money and not reap the returns on nothing. And they're not going to reap much return because your son, he doesn't have a fan base. Let's just keep it real. Top Rank ain't even behind him like that. He's on undercards. He's never even headlined a show. But you want millions and millions of dollars because he just has a belt. It's not just about having a belt. It's also about how many people are going to show up to the damn fight. And your son is not bringing nothing. Let's just keep it a buck. Hey, we'll see what happens. Till next time.